This video is brought to you by Sailey. As an artist, one of the coolest things you can do is design your own original character. A character brought to life through your own ideas, style, and imagination. But a character stays as just a drawing until they're given a story, a world to live in, challenges to overcome, and something to fight for. But despite me having over 8 years of experience as an artist, I'd realized that I'd never given one of my characters a story or lore. Not even one. But as of lately, I've been reading lots of manga and really falling in love with my favorite characters. So I thought it'd be the perfect opportunity to get out of my comfort zone and write and draw my very own manga in a single week. But for the first time, we're not going to be doing it here. We're going to be doing it in Japan. This is Japan, the birthplace of manga and where all the greatest manga are created to this day. And I'm here with my friend Ethan. Say hi, Ethan. So over the next 7 days, we're going to be experiencing Japanese culture and being inspired so we can make the best manga story ever. So here's how we're going to do it. Rule number 1 is that I need to make one full manga chapter, which is generally around 15 or so pages. And rule number 2 is I can only use art supplies that I buy here from Japan. I don't even know what they use to create manga, so that's going to be fun. Most importantly, rule number 3 is that every day that I'm here in Japan, I need to visit somewhere special and use it for inspiration for a manga story. And then at the very end, hold on one second. That is so good. I'll reveal the full story and we can see if this challenge was the best idea I've ever had or the worst. So without further ado, let's explore Japan. For day 1, I wanted to go to 2 places, an underground manga store for getting inspired and a 6-story Japanese art store to get the art supplies we'd use for the challenge. So we traveled to this insane manga store called Mandarake in Shibuya and oh my goodness, they had a lot of manga. They had these vintage anime figures, literally every manga ever, and I was very overwhelmed. So I looked around the countless shelves for some cool manga to study and ended up picking up some random ones along with a One Piece and Demon Slayer manga. And after purchasing them, it was time to go to the 6-story art store, Uematsu. This was one of the highest rated art stores in Shibuya and I could see why. But the only reason I could get to these art stores in Japan was because of Sailey. Sailey is an incredible eSIM service that gives you instant mobile data in over 150 countries. This means that when you're traveling, you don't need to go through the hassle of getting a new SIM card and swapping out your old one, dealing with the ridiculous data roaming fees, or waiting in line in the airport kiosk. You just simply download the app, pick the plan for the country you're going to, and boom, you've got internet. I've even got internet no matter where I've been while traveling in Japan. It's been amazing. It literally took me a couple minutes to set up my Sailey eSIM before I left for Japan, and as soon as I landed, I had full bars. I've been able to stream music while I draw, get directions to art stores, and even upload YouTube videos throughout my trip without having to hunt for Wi-Fi. So if you're traveling anytime soon, check out Sailey and make sure you, your family, and your friends are always connected. And me and Sailey have also teamed up to give you guys a 15% discount on Sailey data plans when you use the code Shrimpy at checkout. So download the Sailey app or go to sailey.com/shrimpy to get that special deal. But with that, it was time for day 2 of creating our manga. Ohayou gozaimasu. That means good morning, by the way. But today, we have some very important things to do. First off, I need some more art supplies because although this stuff is super cool, I just realized that I forgot to buy an eraser and I low-key just want to buy some more Japanese art supplies. But second of all, for the manga we're making, I want to introduce 2 new powerful characters that are inspired by Japanese culture. So to do that, we're going to be going somewhere super special. So I packed my filming equipment, had some apple juice, which is so good in Japan for some reason, and headed out to this local supply store called Don Quixote. Ethan told me this place was a cool little Japanese store that might have a couple of... what is this place? Why are there lights everywhere? Is there anything they don't sell? This looks like a cool figure. But although Don Quixote turned out to be a maze of a store, I finally somehow found the stationery section. So I got my set of erasers and got ready to go... No way. They had the legendary Graph Gear 1000 and it was just $10. So I got the art supplies and as a very happy man, I took the train to that special place I was talking about earlier, which is the Tokyo National Museum. And this place was actually beautiful. I was told that this was one of the best places to see Japanese art and culture, and as soon as I entered, I saw why. The museum had real samurai armor, beautiful Japanese art pieces, these massive statues of warriors and creatures, and they even had real blades and swords that samurai used. So I took a bunch of photos to use as inspiration in our character designs and took the train back to the hotel. So now it was time to check out the figure. I accidentally bought the stand for the figure, not the figure itself. I guess that's what I get for not being able to read Japanese. But one thing I know for sure is that these erasers and the mechanical pencil I bought are going to be amazing. So I wasted no time in getting out a new page and beginning our character design sheet. The first two characters I drew were the ones we all know and love, Evil Shrimpy and Shrimpy. But now it's time to draw our two new characters, starting with Hadalor, a samurai tiger warlord who believes that true power is only forged through fear and chaos. And while designing him, I made sure to get inspiration from the photos I took in the museum. And then I brought the sketch to life with the J-pen. But now it was time for the second character, Tsunamurai. Tsunamurai is a sword-wielding dragon with coral blue armor and rules the sea with patience, honor, and calmness. And I also used a variety of artifacts I saw in the museum to help design this character too. And with that, I present to you the characters of our manga. I was so happy with how these designs came out, and they meant even more to me because they contained references from our trip to the museum. But now on day 3, it was time to make one of the most important parts of our manga, the front cover. And I was feeling so inspired and motivated from our trip on day 2 that I started working on it as soon as I woke up. I wanted to make an epic composition of Evil Shrimpy and Shrimpy standing back to back, showcasing their full character designs in the manga style. I also made sure to add some little manga details on the cover, like the volume edition, the comic company, and the signature story and art by text. But now it was time to add the beautiful black lines to our front cover with the G-pen, and at this point I was starting to get really comfortable with using pen and ink, and even started adding hatching and shading to my drawings, which made it look so cool. But with that, our front cover was complete and it was looking absolutely awesome, and I couldn't wait to begin the story, but that was just something we had to do first. Our time in Tokyo was coming to an end, which meant I had to pack up all my art supplies and luggage to get ready to travel to Osaka. Osaka was the second district I wanted to visit during my trip to Japan due to their beautiful temples, shrines, and parks. And once I got to the hotel, they had a perfect desk for me to draw on. We decided our trips to the temples and parks would start tomorrow since we got to the hotel quite... Oh my god. During the travel to Osaka, the black marker ink exploded everywhere, getting all over the books and the art supplies. So I frantically tried cleaning everything so that, it's on the sink!
A few moments later.
Please don't mind the toilet paper I'm using to make sure no more ink stains the table. So now that we had no more ink, I decided it would be a good opportunity to spend the night studying the manga we bought. I paid super close attention to how they structure and panel their pages and what various art techniques they used. I found out that they use different shaped speech bubbles for different emotions and got a rough understanding for the way that each manga page is paneled. So I spent the rest of the night doing a bunch of practice manga panels so that I was prepared and ready for day 4, which I was extremely excited about. For day 4, I wanted to get away from the crazy neon lights and crowded shops of Osaka, so I took a 40-minute train to somewhere absolutely beautiful. And this place was Tsurumi Ryokuchi Park. And this might just be the most beautiful park I've ever been to. They had Japanese shrines, waterfalls, dinosaurs, this massive windmill, and possibly the most majestic drawing spot I've seen in my entire life. Like, just look at this place. So I set up my drawing equipment and got ready to storyboard our manga. Now, storyboarding in manga is the process of basically mapping out and planning your entire manga, and is an extremely important step. Through rough sketches like these, artists will plan the pacing, layout, and transitions between each panel in the manga before they add all the details and crispy black lines. And you might notice that the sketches I'm doing are very far from the final quality, and some of them actually look pretty bad. But when working with such a big project and story, you have to have a rough plan like this, because you don't want to mess up the flow, story, or visual quality in the later stages of making it. But back on the topic of our manga, I decided the chapter I'd write would be the backstory of Evil Shrimpy and how he became evil in the first place. In all my other videos, I've drawn and animated the fights between Evil Shrimpy and Shrimpy, and you guys have been really loving that lore. But I think it's about time I reveal who Evil Shrimpy actually is and how he became Shrimpy's arch nemesis. But with that, our storyboarding was complete. While drawing in the park, I storyboarded 16 manga panels for our story, using all the skills we had gained from our trip so far. And I was actually going to draw even more, but it was just way too hot out here. Just look at the forecast. The storyboarding while sweaty and hot is not fun, so I decided to finish off the last few panels back at the hotel. And now on day 5, we've made a lot of progress. We've learned how to use a G-pen, designed our front cover, and storyboarded the entire chapter. But from doing that while traveling, I was exhausted. Man, even though Japan is absolutely beautiful, I've been starting to feel pretty stressed and burnt out while trying to enjoy my holiday and film and draw. So for day 5, I think I'm really just going to try and enjoy the atmosphere and culture of this country. So when I get back, I'll be feeling more inspired than ever to finish this manga. And here is what we did. Japan was the most incredible and unique place I've ever been to, and it's a trip I'll remember for the rest of my life. And after day 5, I was feeling more motivated than ever to finish our first manga. So I packed up all my art supplies, said goodbye to Japan, and travelled back to Australia. And just like that, we were home again. It felt so weird yet insanely comforting to be back in my studio after our trip to Japan, but there was no time to waste because we have a manga to make. So I unpacked all my art supplies that I got from Japan, got out my storyboards, and now, let's do this. Page 1 of the manga opens up with Shrimpy and Evil Shrimpy playing in a field, but at this point in time, Evil Shrimpy wasn't evil at all. His name was originally Phineas, a kind-hearted soul who was the same species as Shrimpy, and the two were the closest of friends. But Phineas was also frail, plagued by constant health issues as he had a rare condition. In this world, every living being is born with a tide force, a current of inner power unique to them, but Phineas was the first person ever to be born with no tide force. And during that day when they were playing in the field, his illness took a dire turn. Phineas was dying. With no tide force, it was miles harder to recover from exhaustion and health problems. So in desperation, Shrimpy took a risk, one only he could take. But this risk led to the creation of his worst nightmare, the loss of Phineas and the birth of Evil Shrimpy. To finish the sketch of all 17 of our manga panels, I literally drew all day with barely any breaks, but it was completely worth it. Because now, as we enter the final day of this insane challenge, all that's left is to add the line work to our manga. So add the line work I did, going over each and every pencil stroke with the G pen and being as precise as humanly possible. And finally, this crazy project was all coming together. This has easily been the most insane and ambitious video I've ever attempted, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. And if you did, we're on the road to 1 million subscribers right now. So it'd mean the absolute world if you dropped a like and subscribe to help us reach that goal. And with that, the manga is complete. I've uploaded the full chapter for you guys to read for free in the description, and enjoy the final reveal.